Yo, what up, dogs? Last night I went and saw The Machine. It was Tuesday, a cheap night in my town. I went to the 7:20 showing, and to my surprise, there was at least maybe 40 to 50 people in attendance for this movie. And I honestly went into this film with a very low bar. I haven't seen much about it. I don't even think I saw the trailer. I might have saw little glimpses of the trailer, but I didn't pay attention to it. And my friend went and saw it with his son, and he said they had a good time. So I thought, you know what? I got nothing to lose. Let's go see it. I'm down for a comedy movie, especially an R-rated comedy movie. It feels like it's been a long time since I've gone to the theater to watch an R-rated comedy movie. So I went, and I have to be honest with you, I was surprised at how much I actually enjoyed this film. It was a good comedy, and the audience made that experience even better because we were all laughing at jokes, we were groaning at jokes, we were laughing at inside jokes. There was people laughing at stuff that just was like sight gags. There was some practical, physical comedy gags that people were laughing at, and even I laughed at some of the weird awkward silence that they left in the film. Like it was just like a weird, almost like a bad editing decision, but I think they left the awkward pause on purpose. And the movie was just it was just solid, you know what I'm saying? It was an R-rated comedy. Like I enjoyed it. And like the people beside me were loving it. They were like there was this one joke that she like I think it was a woman and her daughter, and this joke just made them like almost spit pop. And that made me laugh because I was laughing at them, but I'm also laughing at the joke. But like everyone was laughing, and there was like this dude in the far back with a big boisterous laugh. And there's an inside joke when you watch this movie. It's not a spoiler, but on the wall it's spray painted. It says Tom is fat, and he just busted out laughing so hard, and then like everybody else was laughing, and we all were acknowledging the Tom is fat joke, and it was just great. So this movie, it's an hour and 52 minutes of good comedy, and like it might not be for you. You might not like this type of comedy, and that's how comedy rolls. It's either you like it or you don't. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to just jump into this. It is directed by Peter Atencio, and I'm not sure if I've seen any movie by him before. So this might be my first time ever viewing a movie by him. And it stars Bert Kreischer as Bert, and the movie all revolves around his machine joke. If you've ever heard it, it's pretty much how he robbed a train as a youth, and he was like, it's a very long joke. It's a very good joke, and this movie kind of deals with the actual reality of the story of the joke that he tells us, and it also deals with the aftermath of a Russian mafia family that's after the watch that he stole on the train. And this isn't a spoiler story-wise. It's what this joke is all about too. But the aftermath it's really cool how they actually tied it all together. Well, that was pretty smart. And there's some layers into this movie as well. We have Mark Hamill as Albert, who is Bert's dad. And this movie really revolves around fatherhood, parenthood, dads with their children, and their relationships. And because Bert's having a hard time with his daughter, and Bert also has a hard time with his father because his father drives him nuts, and Bert's driving his daughter nuts, and it's this whole thing, and Bert doesn't know what he's doing wrong, but like as the story progresses, he learns how to be himself, the balance of it all, because Bert Kreischer is a party animal, so to speak. That's his persona, and he's trying not to be a party animal anymore, because the last time he was a party animal, it put his daughter in a bad position, and that's what's caused the strife between them, and he doesn't know how to make it up to her. So he throws a big birthday party for her, trying to be like, hey, I'm a cool dad, everything's good, like I'm not an alcoholic, I don't do drugs anymore, let's try and be a family. But she doesn't want any of that. And then we fast forward to her to Bert being kidnapped by the actress's name is Iva Babic, who plays Irina, and she is cool. Like she is a Russian mafia member, and she kidnaps Bert because she wants the watch that he stole from the train when he was a youth. And the whole rest of the movie now follows this journey of Bert going back in time. Not like he goes to Moscow because he has to. He's held at gunpoint. His dad comes with him, and they have to try and figure out where this watch is that Irina wants. And through this process, we learn more about Bert and what made him become who he is, and his relationship between his father and him starts to be, it's really fractured. But over the time of the course of the movie and the adventure that they go on together, they start to mend fences and start to figure out like why my dad doesn't like me, and why the dad doesn't like his son, and these elements start happening. It's a very family-oriented movie. It's kind of funny when you sit down and think about it, because you're like, Fast X is all the Fast and the Furious movie is all about family, but this movie's really about family, and it's like really driven home quite well in this movie. So as we're going through time, and actually I really like the story how it's told to us, because there's elements where Bert can't remember, but he's trying to rejig his memory, and we have these flashback scenes where we get a young Bert who's played by Jimmy Tatro, and we see the actual events of the machine story come out to play. And it's actually really fun, because he becomes a legend in Russia because of this. And so we see the legend being born of him just being his party dude, and he has all these, like, he quotes movies. That's how he got through it all. And he befriended Igor, who is a Russian mafia member as well. And like it all ties together as he's remembering things from the joke that he told and what he actually lived. Now we're seeing it be played out, and he's using these moments of thinking to go, where is this watch? So we're seeing the story being broken down in pursuit of the watch. And over time, we do run into other characters, which is, we run into her, Irina's brothers. And the first brother we find is Vanya, who is played by Sjöstrand. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that name. I butchered it. And we run into him, who's also looking for the watch. And the whole point of this watch is to find it, to give to the father, so they can become the leader of the Russian mafia, or his section of the Russian mafia. And that's everyone's goal in this. So we run into that brother. Chaos ensues. I'm not going to tell you what happens. Actually, I will tell you one thing that does happen, because I find it incredibly strange in this movie, because you're not expecting it in this comedy movie that it all of a sudden breaks out into an action movie. There's a lot of action in this film, and it took me aback for a second there, because I was not expecting any cool action sequences in this movie. And there are a few, actually, because Irina is actually quite a badass in this movie, and she beats up a lot of people, and Bert doesn't know what to do. So there's like an element of good cop, bad cop, or buddy cop elements in this that actually happened between Irina and Bert over time. It's actually really good. It's really good. I actually really enjoyed the story of Irina and Bert as they are slowly bonding as they're finding this watch, because she starts off as like a certified witch, you know, like she don't care about Bert. She wants this watch, but over the course of the adventure that they go on, she starts to warm up to him, and there's some great scenes down the line of them actually becoming friends, and they bond over like TV shows like Family Matters and stuff like that. So there's a lot of elements in this movie, man. And then we get a second brother, who is Alexei, played by Robert Maaser. That's kind of like my last name. Anyways, he's cool. There's a lot of cool looking dudes in this movie, like just cool people in general. I didn't remember the one actor's name, but he plays this guy named Sponge. He's just jacked. He's just massively jacked, but he looks so cool. Everyone's got tattoos on. Like, you could see these dudes in any John Wick movie. Like, they're so cool. But everyone's after the watch. Anyways, we fast forward to Igor, who's a big player in this movie, who is played by Nikola Djuricko? I hope I pronounced that correctly. Who plays old Igor. And we find out through the adventures of young Igor, who's actually played by, hold on, Oleg Taktarov. I hope I said that right. Because Bert remembers that, like, Igor should know where the watch is because they robbed it, right? And he would have got the payment or something like that. But it's it's an interesting story. I don't want to ruin it because like cool things happen where you're just like, oh yeah, okay, that's cool. But also like the story is very formulaic in a sense where you're like, he's going, the watch is the MacGuffin. He's going to try and find it, and he conveniently does find it, along with something else that I'm not going to talk about. But you're just kind of like, yeah, okay, everything's falling together for him because there's like other emotional things going on in this story as well. And the final ending of this movie, there is a really good action sequence that Bert actually participates in. And it is funny to see him do a choreographed like action sequence that's kind of like John Wick. I almost feel like he did that on purpose just to rub it in like Tom Segura's face. But it is funny. And I actually really enjoyed it. And there's a lot of heart in this movie, man. There's a lot of heart-to-heart conversations between Bert and Mark Hamill as father and son and trying to hash out stuff while under gunfire. And I gotta say, Mark Hamill in this movie is great, as always. There's only one thing in this movie that I think they screwed up on or missed, or maybe got lost in the edit. But when we're introduced to Mark Hamill's character, the dad, Albert, we have Bert working the grill, right? At the birthday party, he's working the grill, he's making burgers, right? And you hear in the distance this sound go, like something like that. And like you get a close up on Bert going, oh, what's that? Like he knows it's his dad. And Bert loses his mind because it's something his dad has always done to him that's like terrorized him in a sense. It makes him like go on edge, gets him very anxious. And you only get it twice in this movie, at the very beginning, at the birthday scene, and it doesn't come back into play ever again in this film. And I kind of feel like it was just something they set it up, but it never had a payoff emotionally. Like we never had Bert like freak out on him about the damn sound noises that he makes with his face, right? Like that's the only thing I thought about when I was leaving the theater. I'm like, how come there was no payoff for that? But aside from that, hold on, let me check my notes here. So I think I hit everything because this movie is good. I definitely think this movie should have came out around Father's Day because this movie is definitely a Father Day type of movie. This is a movie you want to sit with your dad and watch, be it your dad has only daughters or just sons or a mixed family, like whatever. This is a family movie of dads trying to overcome the damage that they might have done to their children. And there's very emotional parts in this. Maybe, yeah, like I think it's a good Father's Day movie. If my dad was still around, I'd probably watch it with him. I do think that this movie will be a very good rainy day type of film that you're going to watch on TV with commercials. And you're just going to watch it on a nice Sunday where it's raining, and you're going to enjoy yourself because it has the right amount of comedy, has the right amount of action. It is R-rated, so it might not ever get on TV, but I think you should consider it for streaming. And if you are a Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer fan, and you like their podcast, and you enjoy their stuff and their content and Bert's content, then you're going to like this film in that regards as well. So maybe you want to go see it in the theater, go see it on a cheap night. But when it comes out for streaming, I do highly recommend you go and see it and maybe consider adding it to your collection. I think I might because I do like to collect comedy movies. So it might show up in the collection in a few months from now. We will see. I'm very curious about that. Anyways, that's it. That was a good movie, man. Go check it out. I'm going to go and see what's next. Oh, I think Enter the Spider-Verse. I think I'm going to go see that Friday or Saturday. But yeah, that's it for me, guys. Have a good one. Whatever movie you're watching, I hope you enjoy it. And if you have any comments about this film, drop them. Let's talk about it. Other than that, I'm out. Peace. Bye.